Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Culture Report. I'm Jamal Simon.
I'm Laura Casillas.
I'm DeMarco Randall.
And I'm Antonia Velez.
Y'all already know what we're about to talk about. We can't not talk about the biggest music release probably like ever.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift is back, and she's breaking records like only she could, quite literally. Her latest album, which dropped last week, became the most streamed on its first day across Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Music. The Tortured Poets Department was streamed 300 million times last Friday on Spotify alone, taking over the Spotify title previously held by her 10th album, Midnights. She's literally outdone herself. And the album's opening track, Fortnite, became the platform's most streamed song in a single day. Last year, she also became Spotify's most streamed artist overall, with more than 26 billion streams worldwide.
Crazy. Only Taylor Swift could do that in this world.
She's balling.
Yeah,
she's balling.
It's quite literally, now that she's a billionaire. This is Taylor Swift's world. We're just kind of living in it right now.
Right. Yeah.
Now, if we want to talk about the album, I'll ask you guys. I'll start with Antonia.
Okay.
How'd you feel about the Tortured Poets Department?
So, admittedly, I don't think that it was her best work.
Oh, no.
However, this is not to say that I did not enjoy some of her songs.
Okay.
For example, I loved LOML.
Okay.
Which can be interpreted as love of my life or loss of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, up to interpretation. I also love Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus.
Okay.
Because potentially she's talking about a bisexual partner, which we love that. We love
that for her?
We love that for her. And yeah, I mean, I think that I don't want to dog on the producers, man, but the lyrics are so good. Sometimes just I don't agree with the production.
The lyrics were okay this time. Listen, I'm a Taylor Swift fan. I've said it these past 3 years. I'm giving my opinion now. But they haven't been hitting, okay? And I love Jack Antonoff, who has produced the majority of her work over the past several years. Love him, love Bleachers, seen him live. He's great. They need to take a break.
Okay,
for me
but
personally.
honestly, we cannot go anywhere without seeing Taylor Swift.
Correct.
She's everywhere.
And that's more power to her. Like that's so cool for her. But I remember like when I was like a Swiftie, it was way back. Like I haven't listened to a lot of her like recent stuff, but I'll listen to like some of the hits, but not like the complete albums.
Yeah.
But like I do miss her, like Dear John, like that old sad country stuff,
Dear John.
Girl, don't get me started on Dear John. Don't get me started on
I've never been a big fan. I do like one or two songs, Jamal. I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
I've never been a big Swiftie, but she's doing something right. I mean, she's definitely getting her music out there. Everybody knows who she is. She's made, lines worldwide to see her in concert. Yeah. So she's doing something right. I have respect for her in that aspect because
she's eating the girls up. She's eating the girls up, and I'm really proud of her. I just don't want her to think just because she is super successful and she's the biggest artist that she can just start releasing anything because it's kind of getting crazy. But
to that point,
something else crazy. It looks like Taylor might be the newest addition to the problematic Poets Department after lyrics from a track on the double album called I Hate It Here caught the attention of fans. On the track, she sings, "My friends used to play a game where we would pick a decade we wished we could live in instead of this. I'd say the 1830s, but without all the racists and getting married off for the highest bid."
Girl, why did you do that?
What world?
Y'all are.
Come on.
A lot of people are mad about this. I get it. I totally get it. Plus, I was like, just to like toss it in there, like, oh, like racism, like it's like kind of like, like a little thing. I was like, no, like racism, homophobia, sexism kind of ruled.
It kind of ruled. It did rule.
People kept saying that the reason why she mentioned it, Jamal, was because all the poets or many poets came from that period of time. Mm-hmm. But I want to bring it back to why that's harmful for her to like make those comments, even with her using that reasoning behind it.
Well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I personally don't think it's that harmful. I know I used to play this game. I never would go anywhere. Well, actually, I would always say the future because, like, girl, what is there for me? Like, maybe the 80s, but, like, if we're really talking about it, we want to go forward. I was more so offended that in one of the songs she said that Charlie Puth deserved a bigger platform or deserved to be a bigger artist. Why would you say such a thing? I was jump scared. But, no, it is. But Sorry, Charlie. But I was like, girl, it's in poor taste, and I thought it was like not the cutest thing to say. And I'm like, also, I don't know what's appealing about the 1830s, especially
the cholera.
When it comes to like the illness. It's like I don't know what was going on in the 1830s, but if that's something that she wanted to experience, more power to her. But
yeah, it was just like, it was a hit and a miss, and like you said, what is there about the 1830s that's appealing to you? And especially when it comes to just you saying, but without all the racist doesn't take from the fact that racism, it's still embedded in society today.
Yeah.
Not to mention in the 1830s when slavery was so hand in hand with like day-to-day, activities, society.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like there was no 1830s without racism, sexism, like you said. So it was just, I love Taylor Swift, but that I did not like at all.
Definitely a little tone deaf.
Yeah.
For sure. I feel like she's so like checked out of reality with just that particular song. I was like, oh, just hate seeing that. But hopefully now she'll think a little bit more of putting those lyrics out there.
Absolutely. And stream Cowboy Carter. I mean, it's like, the U.S. Supreme Court is ruling on a Southern Oregon case that could have major implications on how cities across the country deal with homelessness. The case centers around efforts in Grants Pass to keep people from camping in public spaces by enforcing fines and possible jail time. A group of people experiencing homelessness sued the city, saying that its laws for homeless camping were unconstitutional. The Supreme Court's decision is expected by the end of June.
And the rise of violence, along with the escalation of war in Gaza between Hamas and Israel, has resulted in ongoing protest at some universities in the United States. Last week at Columbia University in New York, over 100 protesters were arrested after students and pro-Palestine protesters set up a makeshift encampment on the main campus. Since then, protests have spread to other campuses, leading to arrests at NYU, Yale, UT Austin, and others. Supporters say their goal is to not be against Jewish people.
Our goal is simply to say that we don't agree with what Israel, the government of Israel, is doing in the Middle East.
Some Jewish students who attend the Ivy League school have said they felt a rise of concern for their safety on the campus.
This is not a welcoming environment.
It's simple. I think it's reached a boiling point in terms of anti-Semitism.
A report from the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, showed an increase of anti-Semitic incidents in 2023, up 140% from 2022. 6,500 of the incidents were cases of harassment with slurs, stereotypes, or even conspiracy theories.
And a curly hair care brand is encouraging people in Mexico to embrace their natural hair. The brand Rizos Curls launched a new campaign in Mexico called Celebra tus Rizos, which translates to Celebrate Your Curls. Julissa Prado, the company's CEO, told website remezcla.com that she wants to put a spotlight on the diverse forms of beauty that exist in the country. Prado said the faces for the campaign are 3 women who rock their natural looks for different reasons, from honoring their Afro-Mexican heritage to paying homage to their ancestors to highlighting Mexico's diversity. This type of campaign is especially important within a culture like the one in Mexico and many other Latin American countries, where beauty ideals are often informed by things like colorism. Now, this is certainly the case in Colombia. I mean, as if you could not tell, I am wearing my hair natural today. I won't lie to you. I don't feel my best. I usually, as you've probably noticed if you've been watching the Culture Report, I wear it straight most of the time, especially when I'm, kind of presenting myself to others. And I think that's because I grew up in a society where around me it was kind of expected for young women and girls to, if they did have curly hair, which a lot of us did, to straighten it. Sometimes it was a more covert, kind of entwined in societal expectations, but sometimes it was overt. We were told that we would look better with straight hair. Now, I think definitely, like I mentioned, a lot of it has roots in colorism, which, is also rooted in racism. But I do think that it's important to highlight campaigns like this one because a change needs to happen. It's so sad that young girls like myself, when I was 13, 14, I got chemically straightening procedures more than once. I, dyed my hair blonde. And I think it has a lot to do with the representation in the media that we consume as young women and people in general. And so, yeah, I love a campaign like this one that's encouraging people to embrace their natural hair.
Well, I love seeing you wearing it.
Thank you.
I think it's so beautiful. And I hate that, even me too, Antonia, growing up, it was always like, oh, she's so pretty, she's so light-skinned, or everything I saw on television was always like portrayed that way, lighter skin, straight hair, and we come in all shades and color, and so they're all different kinds of beauties, and we should be embracing those and telling little girls, you're beautiful the way you are. Like, you don't need to change this or that about you. So I agree with you. These campaigns do need to be there, and I hate that we still have to like keep pushing them to make people aware, but at any rate, I'm glad they're there.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully this type of thing can kind of, I don't know, I just wish that little me and like all my friends, even aside from Colombia, like friends of mine that have curly hair from multiple backgrounds and ethnicities and all of that in the US, like it's just such a curly hair girl thing. And of course this can affect like any gender, any person really, but I've noticed it a lot among like young women, and it's so sad. Like I wish I could tell little me and my friends when they were little, like, no, like you're beautiful, your curls are beautiful, embrace that.
You can tell them that right now. You know,
Yes,
the culture
okay,
report might be
actually-
playing somewhere. I heard it played in a nail salon the other day.
Love that.
So
I love that.
tell them right now, they see you right here rocking your
well,
curly hair.
Even though I said that I don't feel my best, I actually lied. I do feel my best. And you should too. So love yourself. And especially it's just rock your natural curls, rock your natural hair.
I love that, Antonia. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
And violence is shaking up elections in Mexico after 2 mayoral candidates were found dead last week. There have now been 17 candidates killed in the lead up to the June 2nd election. One candidate, Noé Ferretis Ramos, was killed last week in Tamaulipas, and Alberto Garcia, another mayoral candidate in Oaxaca, was found dead a day after he was reported missing. Oaxaca prosecutors said Garcia was apparently beaten to death, and prosecutors in Tamaulipas said Ramos was attacked but didn't give any other details. Violence against politicians is widespread in Mexico. Mexico's drug cartels have often focused assassination attempts on mayors and mayoral candidates in a bid to control local police or extort money from municipal governments. The June 2nd national elections are shaping up to be the country's most violent on record.
Wow.
Guys, this is so scary, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or if that was the first time you guys heard of violence in Mexico when it comes to elections, and not just even elections, it's also the press. There's so much violence going around, and it just makes it that much more important for us to pay attention and really protect institutions that are in place to help our elections work. I know we're also, in the midst of an election here, and I fear that a lot of people here are questioning how our election process works, especially after a certain candidate, made a lot of people doubt them. So it's so important to keep those, to protect those, to really fight for those. I know you're from Colombia too, Antonia. I think maybe you guys have something similar, but Mexico definitely suffers with that.
Absolutely, yeah. In Colombia and a lot of, unfortunately, South American countries struggle with violence in general, but violence against politicians or activists. Actually, right now, El Tiempo, which is a Colombian newspaper, came out with an article that reported that on average every 2 days, one social leader was assassinated in 2024. And it's just really sad, Laura. And I think that the importance of talking about this sort of, headline, as scary and as sad as it may be, it is to raise awareness, like you said, about how important it is to make sure that we have a healthy, equitable political ecosystem, which means, in part, respecting things like free speech and candidates that sometimes we might not agree with. like the reason why a lot of these candidates or a lot of these social leaders and activists are targeted is because they are speaking out about, or they represent something that others don't agree with or don't respect. And like you said, I mean, this is a really big, important year when it comes to elections and politics globally, not just in the United States. And so this is a very, very important matter.
It's also scary too when I think about it, like who's gonna want to run?
Yeah.
When you're like putting yourself out there and like, you know, standing up for what you believe in.
That was my thought immediately. Because one, I was like, I didn't know that this was happening. Because like when I read the headline, y'all were like, oh, okay. You're like, it wasn't as much of a shock to you guys.
And that's sad.
I was like, did you just hear what I said?
Yeah.
Like 2 candidates were just killed, and you're like, yes, that happens. That's common. So the fact that I didn't even know that, I feel like the majority of Americans probably don't know that. Like, sure, they may hear about violent things that happen in Mexico, and it might deter them, or they think like that's representative of the entire country, which we know it's not.
No.
But I was like, the fact that I didn't even know that was triggering to me in itself. That like these leaders are getting killed and. We don't know. It's just become normalized.
Totally, yeah.
And I think the government seeing this, and especially with it making headlines, I think more security will be put in place. I hope so, because the worst thing is to, you know, have people feel intimidated or scared to go out and vote, and it should not be that way. So, you know, on that note, I do want to remind people, like you said, it's not representative of the whole country. These things, you know, unfortunately are happening, but Mexico is so beautiful as a country, and there's so many great things about it. So definitely still, you know, keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
Absolutely. And with that being said, this week, officers arrested a 42-year-old Miami pharmacist before he boarded a flight to Colombia, where he allegedly planned to have sex with children ages 10 to 12, according to the Southern District of Florida's Attorney's Office. Now, this comes almost 1 month after Colombian authorities found a U.S. citizen with 2 local underage girls in a hotel in Medellin, its second largest city, a discovery that led the mayor to place a 6-month prostitution ban for a couple of neighborhoods that are popular among tourists, per the Associated Press. Now, for context, prostitution is legal in Colombia, but the mayor stressed that this ban was necessary in preventing the sexual exploitation of children, AP reported. The tourist has since fled back to the U.S., and its consequences depend on whether the investigation findings in Colombia are prosecutable in the United States, according to Colombian newspaper El Tiempo. Now, unfortunately, these cases are just the tip of the iceberg. And while unreported cases make it hard to find exact numbers, the organization Leotards International, which works with victims of sexual exploitation, has documented 13 arrests of foreign citizens for cases that took place in Medellin since 2019, as reported by El Tiempo.
And right now, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is suing the Sheetz convenience store chain for violating civil rights laws. So officials claim that the chain sorts out job applicants who fail the criminal background check, resulting in alleged discrimination against minority applicants. Sheetz operates more than 700 stores across 6 states. In a statement, the company says it does not tolerate discrimination of any kind, which, I mean, kind of probably isn't true, because clearly they're tossing these people aside, which I guess you understand. It's like, okay, I understand you probably aren't, they're probably not going to be your first pick. Sure. But you also have to realize that jail is for people to rehabilitate. And it's like, how do you expect them to get better or to like adapt to society or whatever, become a citizen, you know, like a normal citizen if they can't even work?
Yeah, I was going to echo what you had just said, Jamal. Yeah. Like, how are we going to expect people once they get out of prison and get integrated back into society? How are they supposed to feel like they're a part of that society when they can't even get a job?
Yeah.
Like, it's extremely difficult for these people to obtain employment and to have a job where they feel like they're fulfilled.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can go find a job where you're doing X, Y, or Z, but are you getting also that fulfillment? And are you feeling like you're a part of this community as well?
Yeah, and I can't think of a time where I went to apply for a job and I didn't have to do a background check. So I do think it's like standard policy to do that. The thing with this one here, though, is that they were turning away more non-white applicants that committed like the same offenses than they were other applicants, right? So I think that's the issue here. It's like, it's already hard for all of them, but if you're already, using race as a factor in that part too, that's an issue.
And it's also, I mean, people of color are often over-policed. So, I feel like, sure, they're already at a disadvantage there. So it's like, okay, like, it could have been somebody who had something so minor.
Yeah.
Like, not even a big deal, which, I mean, I know plenty of people of color, even people that, aren't of color, are arrested for all the time. Mm-hmm. And they don't have a chance to, prove themselves at the very least. Yeah, so I feel like that's a disservice to everyone.
Yeah, it's adding another barrier.
Yeah, and I feel like those people that won't hire them are probably the same people, like, if they end up back in jail, they're like, see, that's why I didn't hire them, they're just criminals.
Bias that you create.
I was like, this is because of your, if they could have gotten a job, I was like, if they can't get a job to make, not easy money, what's it called? Legal money? Sure. The good money.
Money, period.
Then you need to find a way to survive. Yeah. And, but thankfully there are groups designated to teach the skills that people need to stay out of prison, starting before they've even left. So 9 News reporter Rachel Krause got an inside look at one in Colorado.
I want to put myself in the best position I could to find meaningful employment should I ever have the opportunity to be released.
I invite you to challenge me to step up.
Ronnie Williams was convicted of murder and given 44 years in prison. He says inmates aren't used to being taken seriously.
Man, the human dignity aspect of it, for me, every Tuesday that I came in here, I didn't feel like I was in prison. I felt like I was a person. I was treated like I was a person. And it made me feel like, like I was important.
You feel invested in, and when you feel invested in, you are going to make better decisions.
Right, thanks again to Rachel Krause for doing that story. If you guys want to check out the full story, it's really, really great. Please do. It's on 9 News Plus or 9news.com.
What a great program. I love that. Amazing. After this month's NCAA Women's Championship, we can't deny that women's sports are having a moment. What's making headlines now is the official U.S. track and field uniforms that Nike unveiled for the upcoming 2024 Paris Olympic Games. One particular female outfit has drawn most of the attention for apparently being skimpy and revealing. The leotard, cut particularly high on the hips, is being called out as inappropriate for the world's most famous sporting event. Nike says its revealing leotard is just one look that athletes can choose from when they compete. They also said the track and field kits were, quote, prioritizing performance and maximum breathability. A few athletes reacted to the leotard on social media, with former track star Lauren Fleshman blasting it as, quote, a costume born of patriarchal forces that are no longer welcome or needed to get eyes on women's sports. She said that if the outfit was truly beneficial to physical performance, men would wear it.
Period.
That was really well said, I think.
I just can't believe, okay, so I'm glad they have a choice. They can pick. But the fact that it was actually offered, it looks like a thong in the front. How could that be comfortable to run in? Yeah. I mean, it's demeaning a little bit to think like women have to go to those levels to like get men to watch. If that was like the thought behind it, I hope it wasn't. Nike says different, but again, like women's sports are having their big moment. It's not just, the NCAA, but even, soccer, and they don't need all these skimpy outfits to get the attention that they're getting.
Right. I think for me, it's just the fact that it doesn't look like it's meant for that sport. Like it seems like whoever wears that and who is going to be running track and field is going to have a horrible time. Yeah. Like that's just going to be very uncomfortable. Not to mention, like, if a person happens to be menstruating, that adds a whole other layer of like complications when it comes to something that, has that type of cut. So I do agree that it's probably not the best pick for like athletes who are going to be using their bodies to run however many miles. But I do like that they have other options that athletes can pick.
Same. I had the biggest problem with this when I thought that like, oh, this is it. This is it. Like this is all they have. I was like, this is a joke. We're gonna get quite the show. But no, I was like, my only demand now that I know that they have more styles is, we should have one for men. They should have the same one. They should
leotard
have the
for men.
option. Now, if they're choosing, their outfit over their performance, then that's a different issue.
Yeah, I think the athlete should definitely be able to wear whatever they feel comfortable in and whatever is going to help them perform to the maximum of their abilities.
Yeah.
Totally.
So it shouldn't be, hey, you have to wear this or this.
And if somebody does decide to wear it, we shouldn't shame them.
No, we
We
shouldn't.
should not. So that's not the message. I'm glad, that they do have choices, like we said. And if they can run with that, more power to them.
Exactly.
So-
Yes.
Absolutely.
And men's leotards.
All right, guys. Well, let's hop into this week's good news. This week, I found 2 big reasons to be excited for the baseball season. First, the Colorado Rockies are returning to play in Mexico. And the second, I got a chance to sit with Vinny Castilla, a Rockies former player and now special assistant for the team. As a Mexico native himself, Castilla talked about what it means to take his team to his home country.
I'm very, very excited to go back to my homeland and play. I'm gonna play, but be part of this experience again. It's gonna be awesome and see the fans over there, and they are very excited already to see the Rockies.
Castilla also got to play in Monterrey, Mexico as a Rocky in 1999 against the Padres. The Rockies are facing the Houston Astros in a 2-game series in Mexico City as part of the MLB World Tour, which will visit 4 different countries this season.
And the 2024 Paris Olympics are coming up, and so is the chance to watch breakdancing as an official Olympic sport. This comes after the sport topped 1 million viewers at the 2018 Youth Olympics in Buenos Aires, an audience size that exceeded that of many other sports, according to NBC Olympics. The dance battle sport is rooted in diversity, with a history that started in the 1970s Bronx, hand in hand with hip-hop culture. NBC says 4 breakers will represent the U.S. at the Games, and 2 have already qualified. 34-year-old Sunny Choi and 28-year-old Victor Montalvo are gearing up for Paris.
All right, let's keep the sports rolling. Colorado is becoming the 11th state to sanction girls flag football as an official high school sport. This comes after a pilot program in 2021 supported by the Denver Broncos Foundation and KUSA, which included 50 schools in 10 districts across the state. Participation from year 1 to year 2 of the pilot program increased by more than 150%. KUSA is going to have its inaugural season beginning this fall.
Oh my goodness, so much sports, so many sports news. Drag is a sport, okay. It was a win-win situation, see what I did there? For one RuPaul's Drag Race contestant in this season finale for the show's 16th season. Taiwanese drag queen Nymphia Wind was crowned America's Next Drag Superstar, becoming the show's first East Asian winner. So
Love that.
Shout out.
And I love that you brought in RuPaul's Drag Race.
Absolutely, because drag is a sport.
I'm so jealous of Laura.
Why?
I'm so jealous you got that chance to talk with Vinny.
And let me tell you, when I told my family, they were like, "Why didn't you tell me? I wanted shirts autographed." Everybody was so mad at me. I was like, guys, the fact that I got to go, I was just so nervous, but
You killed it. No, y'all definitely need to watch that full interview.
Check that out.
And who knew he
job.
spoke beautiful Spanish, and I'm so excited that they're going back to Mexico.
I love that.
Yes.
Well, I'm not excited about something.
Same.
Laura has some news. It's come. The time has come.
Oh, it's time for me to move on, guys. I'm so sad. It's bittersweet. I'm gonna take off to go pursue, the Spanish language that I love, that I've been, pushing here on 9 News, and that I think the station has also embraced a lot. And I love the work that they're doing, because we do have a big bilingual audience out there, and somewhere out there, they're reading those stories and seeing our coverage. So again, I'm going on to Univision, so I'll stay in town here in Colorado, and I'll miss you guys very, very much.
Laura, I was just going to say thank you so much for helping me feel comfortable on this set, and honestly for everything that you've done for this show and for the people sitting here. The show would not be the same with or without you. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Mark. You're killing it. Thank you.
I absolutely agree. Real quick before we leave, of course, we have to check out some of our favorite Laura moments.
Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Hi, I'm Laura Casillas, and welcome to the Culture Report, your weekly headlines centering cultural conversations. Just makes no sense to me when you're trying to tell these important stories. Why not use somebody that has lived or has some roots to it. But I think with change, anything that you want change for begins with having these conversations. Fashion too, where they're like, you know, taking other countries' like ideas or arts and crafts and then putting them on the runway, almost like exploiting them because you're not giving credit and they're not getting paid. I think Shakira's was very direct though. I mean, some of the lyrics, they were like, there was something about splashing. In Spanish is salpique, which has, you know, the ex's last name within that word. See, she didn't need the money, you know, and then there's the other part where...
How do you know that?
Yeah, how do you know Beyonce's going? My sister is dating an American man, and we're getting him accustomed to spicy food and being around a lot of people. And so he asked at one baby shower, he's like, is this all your family? And we said it's about 15%. So good luck with that. Yeah. To see these women coming together, you know, in solidarity too with brown, indigenous, and black communities that have been doing this for so long. I love it.
He was just gonna have to
do this. I'm sorry, but yes, the same exact passport, and you don't need it to fly domestically. Yes. So they're U.S. citizens. They have the same rights as we do. They hold a U.S. passport. Why are we still treating them like second-class citizens? I'm just saying, Bad Bunny and Peso Pluma, they're no Freddie Mercury. Neither of them.
And
I feel like those artists.
No one said that.
So to say that they're the best, they're popular. So sad.
Thank you so much for everything.
You guys are gonna make me cry, see?
Good, that was the goal. Oh my God, she's hard as a rock. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna miss you
for everything you contributed to the culture. God, you can't see it, but there's tears coming. But
we gotta go.
Thank you so much.
We love you
and
so
thank
much.
you all so much for joining this week's Culture Report. We'll be back to continue the conversation next Thursday right here on 9 News Plus and 9news.com.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Oh, Jamal.